Mr. Garcia's statement. I can't believe that we would send somebody or anyone from our country somewhere else and say, well, we cut off all communication. We're a better country than that. And I just thank Mr. Garcia for raising that question. Secretary Noem, at the start of this hearing, you stood here and took an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Then you sat down and dodged the truth over and over and over for a little more than 3 hours, so help you God. You repeatedly testified that you and the Department of Homeland Security will follow the Constitution, the laws, and the order of the Supreme Court. Well, the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution says that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And yet, a federal court found that the Department of Homeland Security, under your watch, believes that it has a right to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process. So you did not tell the truth to this committee today when you said you would follow the Constitution and comply with due process. You also testified that you follow orders of the Supreme Court of the United States and all courts. But the Supreme Court unanimously directed the government to facilitate the return of Kilmar Garcia to the United States. But you just testified before this committee that Kilmar Garcia will never return to the United States. So you didn't tell the truth to this committee again when you said that you comply with court orders and decisions. You've overseen the deportation of U.S. citizen children and have claimed that their parents chose to take their children with them. But you produced no evidence that the mother, let alone both parents, of those children freely gave consent to have their children deported from the United States. In fact, everyone involved in those cases say that the mothers, in fact, did not want their children, especially their sick American children, deported. In fact, your agency lured families to ICE appointments under false pretenses, lied to them, refused to let them speak with an attorney or children's father, and deported them before a court had time to even hear the case. You've given yourself the unilateral right to deport anyone you deem a threat. You refuse to comply with court orders that try to stop you. That puts all of us at risk. Beyond your false testimony about the administration's deportation policies, you falsely stated that the administration is focused on a full range of DHS's missions. Instead, your budget request appears to reflect a view that DHS's sole purpose is to be a border wall construction agency that deports U.S. citizen children with cancer. Your budget proposed cuts to cybersecurity, emergency preparedness, and aviation security. Even before asking Congress for these budget cuts, you've overseen mass reductions in the workforce at CISA and FEMA. Despite repeated requests from this committee on how many people have been fired or have been bullied into quitting before their tenure, DHS has refused to share that information. So it should worry every American that we do not know how many people are left at FEMA to respond to disasters and how many cyber defenders still work at CISA as China and other adversaries attack our systems every day. And you made clear in response to my questioning, you have no written plans for FEMA. It is very apparent that also is no plan for CISA, where you are trying to gut the agency's funding and falsely claiming that CISA is a censorship agency. Since CISA never censored anyone, but now we are all paying the price for you buying into a baseless conspiracy theory. Secretary Noem, I'm glad that you finally came to testify before this committee, but I'm disappointed, along with a lot of my Democratic colleagues, that you stood here and took an oath to tell the truth, then repeatedly failed to do so to this committee. Let me just say, if you dance with the devil long enough, he's liable to follow you home. I hope that you will stop dancing around the truth and start telling the truth so this committee can do its work.
If you're new here, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Crossline Politics for clear, honest analysis of the hearings shaping our nation. Today, we're breaking down a powerful closing statement from Ranking Member Bennie Thompson. And as a patriot, I have to say, his message cuts right to the heart of what accountability should look like. In this video, Thompson calls out Secretary Noem for taking an oath to tell the truth and then spending over 3 hours dodging it. He reminds us that the Fifth Amendment guarantees that no person can be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. Yet under her leadership, a federal court found that DHS placed residents of this country in foreign prisons without even basic due process protections. Thompson shows clearly that this is not just a policy disagreement, it's a constitutional concern. He also highlights the Supreme Court's unanimous order requiring the return of Kilmar Garcia to the United States. Despite that, Secretary Noem testified that Garcia will never return. As patriots who believe in the rule of law, this should matter to all of us. No administration, Republican or Democrat, should be allowed to ignore court orders, especially from the highest court in the land. Thompson goes even further, revealing cases where DHS deported American children, including sick children, without proper consent from their parents. He brings forward reports that families were misled, denied access to attorneys, and deported before courts even had a chance to hear their cases. If we care about the Constitution and the values this country stands for, then these actions demand answers. He also warns that Secretary Noem's budget focuses almost entirely on border enforcement while cutting cybersecurity, emergency preparedness, aviation security, and weakening FEMA and CISA at a time when natural disasters and cyber attacks are growing threats. Thompson makes the point that leadership at DHS cannot claim to protect Americans while gutting the very agencies responsible for keeping us safe. As a patriot watching this hearing, it's impossible to ignore the seriousness of what Thompson laid out. This isn't about political sides. It's about truth, accountability, and honoring the Constitution. Crossline Politics will always stand for those principles, and Bennie Thompson stood firmly on them today. His final warning was simple. If you dance with the devil long enough, he follows you home. The truth matters, and leaders must uphold it. If you want more clear, honest breakdowns like this, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Crossline Politics. Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay committed to the country we all love.